Okay. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Unspecified podcast. I am your host, Miles Free, and joined with me today is my mom, Mavis Free. So, yeah, a little Mother's Day action, I suppose. Which reminds me, make sure you treat your mothers to something this Mother's Day. All right, they do a lot for you. Get them a present. Call them up if you're not with them all the time. Just do something. Make sure you tell them that you love them. So today we're gonna kind of talk about what it's like to have a child that's a YouTuber. Probably because I'm partially curious myself. And then we'll also kind of dive into the blog writing that my mom does and being a writer too. So we'll start off with that first question of what's it like to have a YouTuber as a child.
Well, it's I guess something I never thought I'd be doing. When you said I want to have a YouTube channel, I thought, okay, well, I don't know anything about it, so you're gonna have to teach yourself because it's not my area of expertise. But I mean, you did, and you researched, and you collaborated with people who had done it before, and it pretty much self-taught, and write and think up your own stuff. So I don't have to do a whole lot other than buy the occasional equipment and and support you as much as I can, I guess.
Yeah, that's nice. That's nice. So like, where do you like? I'm curious. So like, where do you see me in like 5 years, or like 10 years, or like down the road?
5 years from now. 5 years from now, you'd be legal drinking age, but
it's not where I thought that was going to go.
I was trying to figure out how long that was.
I mean, yeah.
I think you can be anywhere. I mean, when we were in New York City, just feeling that vibe and that energy and the excitement of those shows, I'm like, yeah, I could totally see you doing something like this. Maybe not in 5 years, because that would be quite a stretch.
Yeah, it might take a little bit longer than that.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's cool. So, another thing would be, what's because I have my brother Dallas, who's like the opposite end of the spectrum. Like how do you balance that sometimes? I mean, especially even as children, I suppose you're able to see kind of, it's not like, okay, their interests aren't the same. They're different, right? I mean, he's like the more hunting vibe, I'm on the more like business aspect. It's kind of like they clash sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's kind of weird. Like, you grew up in the same house, you're raised by the same parents, and you're completely night and day different. You have similar humor, but and you have my teeth, but that's about it. Yeah, I mean, I think it's just we tried to encourage you to do what you liked. So Dad would go fishing with Dallas more, and you and I would go do other things, and so Dad's learning to go to musicals and plays and that kind of stuff. But, and you did fish some when you were a kid, but I mean, you just don't like love that kind of stuff.
Not like every day do it as my job type of thing.
Yeah.
So, what was it like? As a child growing up on the farm,
For me?
Yeah.
Well, our farm was like literally on the edge of town. So like the road dividing between town and not town was at the end of our driveway. And so I got to ride the bus to school, and the kids across the street had to walk to school or get a ride.
That's
but
nice.
We had like, I don't know, like around 20 some cows and a handful of sheep and a farm dog and a bunch of barn cats and that kind of stuff, and quite a few acres, of pasture land. So, I mean, it was a lot of time outside and climbing trees and chasing cats, and I've helped deliver livestock,
Yeah.
and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And painting fence was like the worst thing ever. We'd have to paint the fences every other year.
Like a Mr. Miyagi.
Yeah, well, except it was this way because this is just the fences.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah.
So, I lost my question there. Dang. All right. Well, hopefully I could find it. So talking about kind of that, growing up with the animals and stuff. How is that like transferred into your everyday today? Like I know you got the chickens and stuff, but like has it helped in terms of like being a mother, or like how has your childhood shaped you to be?
I think, more than just growing up on the farm was just I had a really great mom. So, she was a really good example of like a truly loving mother. I mean, she's just awesome. So I think, more than anything, but, we just had a lot of freedom to roam around. And I mean, I grew up in the era where you rode your bike all around town. I mean, there was like 600 people in the town probably. And in the summers, I mean, I'd ride my bike to the pool and I'd be there all day until they closed for their little like supper break. I'd come home and have supper and then I'd go back to the pool until they closed. I mean, that was just like, unless it rained or it was like below 70 degrees, then that's where I spent. So it was just a different era of growing up. Like if you would have, when you were growing up, if you would have said, I'm going to spend all day somewhere in the neighborhood, I would have freaked out probably.
Yeah. So going into like college and stuff, what did you want to do?
I went to college at UND my first 2 years. So I started out with a physical therapy major and a theater minor. I went with a theater scholarship.
Oh, nice.
And I got like a B in a science class. And they're like, yeah, that's not going to work. And I'm like, well, that's the best I can do. So I need to change majors. And I was in speech and drama in high school and like in school and in 4-H. And so I'm like, yeah, I think I'll go into mass communications. So I switched to mass comm. I met your dad after my freshman year. He was at NDSU. I stayed at UND because I was a resident assistant for my sophomore year. Because for a while I thought I wanted to be a counselor, and then I was an RA, and I'm like, no, not that. So then moved to NDSU for my last 2 years. So graduated with a mass communication degree and a sociology minor because it required the least amount of math. And in my adult life, I have to do math every day.
Working at 3M.
Yes. Yeah. I started out I did a couple things before that, but I was at John Deere in Fargo for a while. And I started out in the sales and marketing. And they're like, we need another production planner. Do you want to do that? And I'm like, I don't know. Sure. So
what does your now job entail?
So my now job is I am a supply chain process analyst, and I do process improvements to try and make the supply chain group more efficient and kind of troubleshoot things, that kind of stuff. So I don't have a production line that I do anymore.
So how is it better for you? Because I know you like working more remote than working in the office, because they moved you remote during COVID, and then you requested to stay remote, and you got that. How is that better for you rather than being in that office just sort of atmosphere?
Once I was at home, I realized that I really do like it because I get too distracted by like people in the office and sounds and that kind of stuff. Like the guy 3 cubes over who keeps snorting his snot, or the person clicking their pen, or the person who keeps talking and talking and talking and talking. That stuff is super distracting to me, and I don't work really well like that. So being able to be in my own environment where I can kind of control that and, I mean, even in the summer when you guys are home, I can shut my office door and, I don't have that distraction. So it's been really good. I like it. I don't see myself ever going back to like a full office setting.
Full office setting. Yep. And so kind of, I mentioned at the beginning that we'd be kind of talking more about like your blog and your writing and stuff. When did you kind of get into that, and kind of like what is it, so to speak?
Yeah, so my blog is called Journey of Enough, and journeyofenough.com. It started because I started a Caring Bridge website when I was going through breast cancer. So, having a very large extended family, they all wanted to know how I was doing, what was going on, that kind of stuff, and it was hard to keep everyone informed. And then sometimes by the time you tell one person and then 4 people later, it's a different story. This kept a consistent story.
Yeah.
So I was sharing, where I was with treatments and recovery and that kind of stuff. And when I got done, I'm like, well, it was kind of nice to be able to be writing again. And, I kind of want to keep it. So I kind of looked into different blog platforms and picked WordPress as my platform. And, and Journey of Enough came from, I think we're all like on a journey to feel good enough. And for me, when I was going through cancer, I had stage 1 breast cancer, but there was people around me that were going through it at the same time, and theirs was worse. So I'm like, well, my cancer isn't bad enough. And I felt like, that's something that translates to a lot of people, where we feel like, oh, my problem isn't bad enough, or this isn't good enough, that kind of thing. And it's not true, right? I mean, trauma is trauma, cancer is cancer. It doesn't matter, like the severity of it, it's still impactful. And, doing whatever you can do just to get through that and keep going.
Yeah, I agree. That was good. Yeah, that was very. I could tell you were in speech. So, leaning into that a little bit more. Do you like? So you write about like everyday things that you see. Has it like changed your perspective, so to speak? Are you like more observant? Like you find more little things rather like like maybe you see like. You notice like 2 animals that are just kind of walking together or something, rather than people would just walk by, or something just little that makes you think like, oh, I'm going to write about that. Is that do you kind of see that a little bit?
There's like a constant storyline going on in the back of my head where I'm like, oh, I could write about that. Oh, I could write about that. And some things I pick up, and sometimes, I used to write every Tuesday, because I was diagnosed on a Tuesday. So like, before I was diagnosed with cancer, I would say something would happen on a random Tuesday. And I was diagnosed on a random Tuesday. So I tried to flip that to be a positive thing. I'm going to write on Tuesdays. But then when you came out with your blogs or your videos on Tuesdays, I'm like, I'll change it to writing Wednesday, which was good for me to kind of shift away from that anyway. But sometimes the night before, I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to write about. I have no idea. And something will just come to me. So sometimes it is about recovery still, because that's an ongoing thing. It's been 8 years since my last radiation treatment. So sometimes, stuff like that pops up. But a lot of times it's life stuff, motherhood stuff. Sometimes it's just observations, that kind of thing. So, yeah, it comes from all over. But there really is like a mental notepad of things. Like, oh, this would be good. Oh, this would be good. And sometimes I totally forget about it. And sometimes I start one and I never finish it because it just didn't feel right. So.
Yeah, a lot of the times, and Micah, who's been the cameraman a couple of times, can agree with this, that I'll plan a lot of my videos like a couple minutes before. Or it'll be like I'll have an idea about it, like I'll have the general outline, and then I'll just figure out the rest of the stuff when I turn on the camera. It's like you have an idea, but you have to figure out how to kind of format it and put it out, which can be difficult sometimes, but also fun too.
Yeah.
Also, I just want to give a big thanks to Deja Blue while I'm at it for letting me use the space. I appreciate it always. Today we got a Mountain Squirrel, a Norse Press coffee, which is it's a hazelnut and vanilla caramel. Yeah, it's good stuff.
And mine is a steam press with sugar-free almond, and they have the best sugar-free almond flavor.
It is really good. Yeah. It goes well with the Scandinavian almond cake.
Yes, yeah, one of my favorite.
Yeah. So, kind of another thing to lean in is the market, the free market, kind of the hobby farm that we have. How is that like? Because I know for a while it's been like your guys' like dream and stuff. How has it been like? How's it like affected you? You know, kind of like if you kind of understand what I'm getting at.
Yeah. So when we moved to Alexandria 6 years ago, I asked Cam, I'm like, so what do you want to do? And he said, I've always wanted to grow rhubarb and asparagus. And I said, let's do that. And so we started with that, thinking that it would be a good, like, early season crops. Not a lot of maintenance. Originally, we thought we were going to have you pick, and then we realized, like, the logistics of having people on your farm and all that stuff are, like, that's too much. Mm-hmm. So, we planted strawberry beds and rhubarb and asparagus. That was kind of like the first things that we started with. And we had like a 24 by 24 foot garden just for our own. Mm-hmm. And then we're like, well, we could just plant a little bit more. And so then he took that to mean like we should like just till up a whole bunch of land.
Yeah, he tilled up a lot of land.
Yeah. And keep going. Oh. So, and there's drip irrigation and so there's a lot of variety. I mean, it's a lot of work. So it ends up being, like my lunch break is spent going out and, picking something or changing the water or something like that. And then in the evenings also. So, it's a lot of work, but I like I like being able to have the fresh vegetables for ourselves and to be able to share it with other people who enjoy it too. So
yeah, that's cool. I think for me, having that market experience is like some days it feels like I'm just going out and peacefully gardening, and some days it feels like I have to go out and act like it's peacefully gardening, but
like picking beans, which is the worst.
But that's it's mainly being at the market. That's the favorite part for me, in communicating with some of the people. There are some people that it's like, okay, the sign's right in front of them and they ask how much something is. It's just like, But it's fun being that kind of accounting and keeping track of all the numbers and stuff. That was really fun for me.
Yeah, and you do a lot with like the setup and the aesthetics, like how it looks and where things are at, but like also paying attention to what's popular, what's gonna sell well, what doesn't sell well, what's like worth it land wise, because we don't have a giant farm. I mean, a lot of the people who are at the market have 10, 12 acres, and we have 5.5 total on our farm. Probably 2 of it is farmable. So
right. No, we're definitely not as big as Country Blossom.
Yeah.
They're a little bit bigger. But what's it like being because I'm sure now, when we used to live in that Fargo area and kind of closer to the cities, how is it like different to live in kind of more of the outdoorsy kind of woods type, by like right by the lake and like only a couple minutes away from the state park and stuff like that?
Yeah, when we moved here and then we went back to North Dakota, I forgot how flat it is there and how there's like no trees. And I love being around the trees, and floating down the Long Prairie River in the summer is like one of my favorite things. there's so much hiking in the state park. I mean, we don't really have to drive very far to be able to do that stuff. And I like to just be on the water. I don't really care what I'm doing. So that part's nice, just to be in that environment. And it's interesting seeing, the influx of people in the summer too, being a lake community. And how much stuff changes. Like at a certain point in the year, you realize you should not go grocery shopping on Friday unless you like seriously need something, because it's just a zoo and 3/4 of the people are from out of town and they don't know where anything is and it's crowded, and that's not my vibe. So I would just end my grocery shopping by Wednesday.
Make sure you
not go over the weekend. Sunday afternoon is okay, but people are going back home.
What time are we sitting at?
7:50.
7:50. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so talking a little bit more, kind of back to the writing a little bit. How hard is it to like get your ideas down? Like I know you said you talked about like having that storyline in the back of your head and having like different things. How are you able to like find something, or do you just like start writing and something comes up? Or
most of the time I just start writing. Very rarely do I actually like take notes. It's usually like mental notes. Sometimes I'll start a draft of something if I think of it right away, and sometimes I'll start that draft and I'll come back later and I'll be like, I don't know what that was. So I gotta start over. But they're not. I mean, it's not very long, the posts usually, so it's pretty easy to read. It's not fancy or anything like that. I feel like it's very conversational. So very much like I would be talking is how I write. It's not a lot different. So I just try to be, like open, and for being kind of an introvert, that part's a little weird. I maybe say stuff in my blog that I probably wouldn't say to a random stranger, but I'm okay writing it. And it surprises me the number of people who will be like, oh, that really meant a lot to me. Where I'll think of something and I'll write the blog and I'm like, I'm not sure if this will resonate. And I'll get a bunch of people send me notes like, hey, I really needed to hear that today, or that really meant a lot to me to know that I wasn't alone. And a lot of times, like the stuff that I'm really vulnerable with, a lot of times people are like, oh, I thought that was just me. And I think a lot of times we just want to know it's not just us. Like we're not a weirdo because this thing happened, or this life event, or our kids are going through whatever. Just to know that we're, I don't know, not really normal, but not alone, I guess, is more than not normal.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, for me, normal is a weird word. Like what? Like I don't think anyone can be that normal. I think it's just everyone is different and unique in their own way, and it's just I don't like it when people classify something as normal or not. Like I mean, you can have a sense of normalcy, something that's right. You see, but I don't think it can be like that completely. You're not the same as someone else.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no, it's for me. A lot of the times, I like to put a lot of naturalism into my stuff too. Like even during the live show, I got a lot of comments on like it was a natural and stuff. It wasn't like I was going up there with the script or stuff. And I feel like a lot of the times it's just
because you didn't have one.
No, there was no script. No, there was actually, we were planning out stuff even before the doors.
I saw you rehearsing right before, and like, oh, this would be the first time you're going through this.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Good luck.
Yeah.
And it was great.
Yeah. I do a lot of procrastination. I don't know if you were able to see that at all, but Yeah, no, just that sense of naturalism and stuff incorporated.
It's authentic.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it makes it authentic and your own and unique, and that's nice. And I don't really think there's a way to make mistakes with it,
Right.
Like,
because you're yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whatever happens, it happens. Yeah.
Yeah. Because the you on your show is not different than the you in real life. It's not like a persona or a character. I mean, that's you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I agree. Yeah. So, I think that will kind of wrap it up a little bit for today.
Okay.
I think, yeah. Again, happy Mother's Day. This will come out a little bit before, but yeah. So just again, everybody who's listening or watching and listening, please, cannot stress it enough. Do something for your mother. Let her know that you love her. Give her a call. Write her a note, get her a present. Even time is a good present for a mother.
That's the best one.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't have to be this big, grand presentation thing that, I do in school a lot, especially with my book talks. But, yeah, again, just tell them that you love them. And if you're listening on Spotify, please go check out the Unspecified show on YouTube. And if you're on YouTube, please subscribe and leave a like and even comment on the videos. I love to read everyone's comments. Those are fun. Yep. You don't have to be as good of a writer as my mom. You can just even a hi or something. That works. I'm not expecting some big blog thing, but yeah. So. Thank you, everybody, for listening, and have a great day.